Students, today we will start with a new topic. This is chapter 2 in your concise textbook, that is motion in one dimension. This chapter 2 and 3 are very much related. The terms, the expressions, the equations of motion, everything what you learn here, you have used in chapter 3, which we have just completed. So now, first of all, the basics, very basics. This is a continuation, you can say, of measurements topic. What is a physical quantity? Quantities which can be measured, like you can measure the length of this board. You can measure that. So length is a physical quantity. You can measure the distance from our class to your house. Distance, physical quantity. You can measure a bag of sugar. Physical quantity, weight. So they are all physical quantities. Physical quantities which can be measured are called physical quantities. But now physical quantities can be classified into two different types. One is scalar quantities or scalars, and second is vector quantities or vectors. So now what is the difference between scalar and vector quantity? Now when you take mass, let's say the mass of this duster. This duster's mass 50 gram. I don't say that the mass is 50 gram north or south or east or west. That is, I won't give a direction to this. I will just say that the mass of this duster is 50 gram. So it has just two things that is signifying it, 50 and gram. Now 50 is what? It is the magnitude or value, and gram is the unit. So generally, when you have scalar quantities or quantities which has only magnitude, and two parameters are namely numerical value and then you have unit are required to express it. So numerical value is 50 and unit is gram. So you have 50 and gram to express it. Now the same duster. How much would be the weight of the duster? It would be 50 GF. 50 gram was mass, 50 GF is weight. Of course, if you convert it into SI system, it will be 50 upon 1000, that is 0.05 kg or 0.05 kgf. Mass is 0.05 kg and weight is 0.05 kgf. But now when you say weight of the duster, you will add one more quantity, because weight is not signified by just 50 and gram, or weight is not signified by 50 and GF. You will have to say, if I leave this duster now, what will happen? It will fall down, no? Why will it fall down? Because the weight is acting down. So that is why the third quantity, that is direction, has to be added when you are going to tell the physical quantity weight. So in this case, if I leave the duster, it comes down because the weight is acting in the downward direction. So please note that in case of vector quantities, there is not only value and unit, but you add direction. So direction is also involved in vector quantities. So that is why you will say the weight of this duster is 50 GF in the downward direction. So vector quantities are quantities which has unit, magnitude and direction. So that's the difference between vector and scalar quantities. Now even if they ask you distinction, you have to write 2 points which has been given here. Now there is an exception in case of scalar quantities, like some quantities like pi. Pi is what? Just a number. So that pi is also a scalar quantity, but it does not have any unit. It is 22 upon 7, it's a pure ratio. Similarly, relative density, you will come across this when you do the chapter on density. Relative density is density of a substance upon density of water. So it is density upon density, so the units will go away. So it will have no unit. So those are some scalar quantities which do not have any unit. They do not have any unit They have only numerical value, no unit. So now examples of scalar and vector quantities. This is very important because many times you are asked in exams, in school exams or board exams, you are asked to classify the following into scalars or vectors. Any of this could be asked. Most of them you will come across in your topics in standard 9 and 10. But you have to be very thorough with what is a scalar quantity and what is a vector quantity. Now we will see the examples of scalar quantity. You have mass. Mass, I told you, mass is 50 grams. It's just the quantity of matter, so it does not have any direction. Distance. Now after this we will be seeing distance and displacement, the distinction between that. But right now you just understand the distance does not have direction. Displacement, you take direction into consideration. So displacement comes under vector and distance comes under scalar. Similarly, speed and velocity. Speed does not take direction, whereas velocity considers the speed as well as it takes direction into account. So speed is scalar, velocity is vector. Then time. Time is 5 seconds. We don't tell time is 5 seconds towards the north or towards east. So time is scalar, volume is scalar. Temperature, potential. Potential, you have come across potential difference in current electricity chapter. Work, power, energy. Work, power, energy is an entire chapter you will do in standard 10. All the three of those quantities, work, power and energy, are scalar quantities. They do not take direction into consideration. Then you have pressure, amount of heat, then charge. Charge again you have come across in the electricity, current electricity topic. Pressure is force upon area. But pressure, since it acts equally in all directions, that is why we consider it as scalar quantity, even though force is vector. Force is a vector quantity, but pressure is scalar. Pressure is scalar. Then frequency, angle, 30-degree angle. 30 and degree, you don't say north, south, east, west. Mechanical advantage. Mechanical advantage is load upon effort. Load and effort are both types of force. They are measured in Newton. Even though both of them are, load and effort are both force, which is a vector quantity. Even though both of them are vectors, mechanical advantage is a scalar. Because in mechanical advantage, if a machine's mechanical advantage is 3, that does not show any direction or take any direction into consideration. So you can be asked any of this, even though you do not have the terms mechanical advantage coming up in standard 9, in a classification of scalar and vector which could come for 2 marks, 4 terms may be asked to classify it as scalar and vector. This is, any of these terms could be asked. These are all there in your concise textbook also. And as far as vector is concerned, we take direction into consideration. So displacement, velocity, acceleration. Now in acceleration due to gravity, when an object is going up, you had taken minus sign because you said it is retardation. When the object is coming down, you took a plus sign because you said the speed is increasing. So direction is taken into account. That plus minus sign is because of direction being taken into account. Momentum, denoted by P, mass into velocity, we've come across that in the chapter 3, that is vector quantity. Force, torque and impulse. Force and impulse are same. Impulse is a very large force acting on an object for a very short period of time. For example, when you hit the golf ball from the tee, that the bat strikes the ball just for a fraction of a second. So that's a force, but a special name is given to it, it's called an impulse. So it's a large force acting on an object for a very short duration of time. So force and impulse, both of them, when you say force, I applied a force of 5 Newton to this duster. How do I know in which direction it moved? I don't know. So I have to say I applied a force of 5 newtons to the left. So then I will know that the duster moved to my left. So that has to be mentioned. It may be direction in this case is left, it could be, you can say it is towards the west, that is direction. So weight again is measured in Newton. Weight can be measured in kgf or Newton, but weight is a force. Your weight is 500 Newton, 50 kgf or 50 into 9.8, that is 490 Newton. So that Newton is the unit, but you will have to say your weight is acting downward. See, of course, in our sums, unless and until the question is related to scalar or vector, we do not write weight is downward. But if the question asks you in what direction, then you have to mention. Or if the question asks you is it a scalar or vector quantity and find the weight, then you will have to say your weight is 490 Newton acting down, acting vertically downward. So then you have temperature, then electric field, magnetic field, and dipole moment. These are all vector quantities. So these quantities you have to learn clearly. See, it's basically not temperature, but it is gradient of temperature. So you can mark it gradient of temperature. So now what this is, gradient of temperature, etc., what it is, I will explain you when we come across that in heat topic. So gradient of temperature is also something that is applicable in vector quantity. It is not just temperature. See, temperature is a scalar quantity because when you say it is 26 degree Fahrenheit or your body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius, then you will not tell any direction. But temperature gradient of temperature is a vector. I will explain what is the meaning of gradient of temperature. So now temperature gradient, which is a vector quantity. Temperature is scalar, but temperature gradient is vector. The temperature gradient, just for your knowledge, this is not there in your syllabus, but if they ask you what quantity it is vector. It is basically the difference in temperature between two places upon the distance between the two places. For example, let's say distance between Mumbai and Pune and the difference between temperature between Mumbai and Pune. So the temperature difference will be in Kelvin. Kelvin is SI unit of temperature and the distance would be measured in meter. So Kelvin per meter is the unit of temperature gradient. Now this is mostly used in atmospheric temperature changes to measure that. For that purpose you have something which is called a temperature gradient. So SI unit is Kelvin per meter and this is a vector quantity. Even though temperature by itself is a scalar quantity. Now we will see what is meant by rest and motion. It's very simple. If you are at rest, you know what is rest and what is motion. But in physics, if a question is asked like define for 1 mark, then you will have to explain it properly. A body is said to be at rest if it does not change its position with respect to its immediate surrounding. So if the body is not changing its position with respect to its immediate surrounding, then the body is said to be at rest. And motion, a body is said to be in motion if it changes its position with respect to its immediate surrounding. Now let's consider an example. Let's say that you and your friend are sitting on across the opposite seats in your train, or opposite seats or besides each other. You are sitting on a moving train. Now with respect to the outside world, your train is moving. So you are not at rest, you are in motion. But you and your friend are at the fixed distance all the time, even though the train is moving. So you are not at motion with respect to your friend. So for your friend and for you, either of you are in a state of rest. Whereas the outside world, because the train is moving, the outside world is also stationary there, it is not moving. The trees are not moving. But because the train is moving, your position is changing with respect to the outside world. So therefore outside world and you are said to be in a state of motion. Whereas you and your friend are in the moving train and your position is not changing. So that is why you both are considered to be at rest with respect to each other. So it is relative. It depends on what two bodies you are considering. If your train is moving and another train is moving besides you in the same direction at the same speed, then let's say you find your friend in that other train, because both are going in the same direction and in the same speed, then you are at rest with respect to each other, even though both your trains are moving. So this is just to highlight what is the difference between rest and motion. Now one-dimensional motion. One dimension means the body is moving in one straight line path. It is not turning, it is not going up, it is not a plane which is going up, it is just moving in one direction. For example, when you drop a stone down, it goes down straight. Same way, if a car is moving on a straight road, I mentioned that on a straight road. One dimensional motion is also called motion in a straight line or rectilinear motion. Motion in a straight line or rectilinear motion is also one-dimensional motion. So we will go ahead and see few more terms which are important in this topic. So in one-dimensional motion we consider ball falling down. It is coming down straight. We are not considering it is moving sideways or wind is causing it to move sideways. That is not taken into account. So then if it moves sideways, it is two-dimensional motion. Then it is no longer one-dimensional motion. Similarly, a car moving on a straight road, that is one-dimensional motion. But if the car is moving on a winding road, then it is two-dimensional motion. So then what is three-dimensional motion? In case of a plane, it will not truly be x and y axis that shows the location, but you will have to show the location in the upward direction, that is up also. Moving up, it's moving straight, it can go curved and it can also at the same time, it is lifting itself from the ground. So therefore, the coordinates of the plane will be three coordinates, x, y and z. Z is height. So that is three-dimensional motion. So you have one-dimensional motion in a straight line. Two-dimensional motion if a body moves on a plane along a curved path. Its motion is two-dimensional motion. Example, a car moving on a winding road means the road which has a lot of turns. Three-dimensional motion if an object moves in space. In space means in air. So a plane lifting off. A plane taking off and then moving, it will go left and it will go, may not travel straight, it will go up also. So it is three-dimensional. But in our portion, we will only be seeing one-dimensional motion in standard 9 and 10. So we first see two important terms related to one-dimensional motion, that is this difference between distance and displacement. Now in case of distance, you are not considering direction, so it's a scalar quantity. Whereas in case of displacement, it's a vector quantity because you will take the direction into consideration. After seeing the distinction, I will explain the actual meaning of the difference between distance and displacement by way of examples. So distance, the definition, if they ask you one point of distinction has to be definition, then you have to write the first point. It is the length of the actual path traversed by an object in a certain time. Traverse means traveled. It's the actual length traveled in a certain time. So you might have walked 5 kilometers from place A to place B. So you have actually walked 5 kilometers, may not be in a straight road because the road itself would not have been straight 5 kilometers. You might have gone first down, then left, then again down, then again left and reached someone's house which is 5 kilometers away. So you have walked the road. You have walked on the road 5 kilometers, so that 5 kilometers is distance. But you have actually gone from A to B. from your house to your friend's house, the distance you went like this zigzag, that distance moved on the road was 5 kilometers, so that is distance. But the shortest distance between A and B may only be 3 kilometers. The road was not a straight road, it was going zigzag, so you went actually 5 kilometers. So distance covered is 5 kilometers, whereas the shortest distance between A and B, that is known as displacement, that is only 3 kilometers. So for example, when you walk from class to, let's say, here Bombay Scottish School. So when you are walking from here to Bombay Scottish School, the actual, if you throw a rope from our class ka terrace to Bombay Scottish ka terrace, it may be just maybe 1200 meters. So, but when you walk on the road, it is not a straight road, you are not going on the rope, you are going on the road. So you have to take left, right, again left, then again right and reach your school. So that may be 1500 meters. So that 1500 meters is actually what you have walked from the class to Bombay Scottish School. That is distance, whereas the shortest distance, that is the rope which was thrown from the terrace of class to the terrace of Bombay Scottish School, that is displacement, that is less than the distance. So that's again one more point that is coming in. Of course, distance is scalar and distance is vector, displacement is vector. Distance is a scalar quantity and displacement is a vector quantity, that is already mentioned. So in case of displacement, we will say it's the shortest distance between the final and initial positions. That is, it is the distance travelled by the object in a specified direction. So in this case, the direction is taken into account. So this word is important. In a specified direction. Distance travelled in a specified direction is called displacement. The distance travelled, actual travel path is distance. So, now as I told you, distance can be more than or equal to the magnitude of displacement. But displacement, its magnitude can never be more than the distance. For example, don't get confused. I gave you a simple example. You are walking from our class to Bombay Scottish School by road. That distance you have walked is 1500 meters, whereas the rope which was thrown straight, not through a road but straight on top, a cable wire, that is only 1200 meters. So that 1200 meters is displacement, and the path you have moved on the road 1500 meters is the distance. So that's an example which says that distance will always be more than or it may be equal to displacement. But displacement cannot be more than the actual distance. Displacement is the shortest distance. So displacement cannot be more than distance. Distance could be more or equal. Equal when, let's say you had a straight road without any left-right turns. If it was direct from the class to Bombay Scottish School, then that would have been called the distance. In that case, distance and displacement would have been same. So, last is, distance is always positive. That means, let's say you moved away, you will be considering distance. You don't put positive or negative sign for distance. That person is 5 meters away, that person is said, he is on my left, he is 5 meters away, he is 5 meters away. You don't say -5 or +5. If the person is on the right, 5 meters away, still I say his distance is 5 meters from me. But now when we take displacement into account, if I say that person on my left is at a distance of +5 meters, it actually means displacement. Then since that person is at +5 meters, then the person in the other direction, I will say -5 meter distance. So that would be actually displacement, not distance. -5 because the direction of the two people are reversed. One is this side for me on the left and the other person is on the right. So therefore in displacement it can be positive or negative depending on the direction. So write this all in your notebooks. Now the concluding slide for today. After this I will send the next videos in a week's time, that may be next Monday or Tuesday. So here we are just seeing the difference, actual difference, practical difference between distance and displacement. so that now once you see these two examples, you will be very clear what is the difference between distance and displacement. Now let's say a person, Golu, is going from point A, his house is at point A, and he is going to Chutki's house at point C. There is no direct road. So this blue line is indicating the road. Golu is going from A to C. So first he is going south 4 kilometers and he is coming to point B. And once he comes to point B, then the road is turning east. So he is going 3 kilometers east. So actually Golu is going 4 plus 3, 7 kilometer. So that is the distance moved by Golu. He has actually travelled 4 and 3. So 7 kilometer is the distance, and when you say distance, you will not write north, east, south, west, nothing. So the distance travelled by Golu is 7 kilometer. But what is displacement? It is the direct distance or the shortest distance between A and C, Golu's house to Chutki's house. So that direct distance you can find by Pythagoras theorem. You've already seen in the perimeter and area what is Pythagoras theorem. So Pythagoras theorem, this side opposite to the right angle is called hypotenuse. So hypotenuse, the whole squared, is sum of the squares of the other two sides. So hypotenuse will be the largest side. So when you look at it, you get 4 squared plus 3 squared and under root of that. So under root of 25. So this side would be 5 centimeter. If you don't know that, you can just see this. AC squared is AB squared plus BC squared. So AC squared is 4 squared plus 3 squared. So AC will be under root of 16 plus 9. So under root of 25, that is 5 kilometer. That will be AC. And that AC is the shortest distance between the initial and final position. So 5 kilometer is the displacement. But now displacement, you will also write the direction. So you will say it is southeast. Not just south, but it is towards the southeast. So displacement is 5 kilometers southeast. So the distance in this case is more than the displacement. When you write the displacement, you will not only write the value, that is magnitude, unit, but you will also state the direction. Now a second example, very practical and simple example, you can say, let's say that a train is starting from Dadar station and it is coming to Andheri station. Let's say it has travelled a distance of 30 km, Dadar to Andheri station. So distance travelled is 30 km. After that, the same train goes back from that same Andheri station back to Dadar station. So now it has covered another 30 km. So total distance travelled by this train is 30 plus 30, 60 kilometers. So total distance is 60 kilometers, but displacement is 0. Why? Because it has come back to the initial position. Original and in final position is same. So there is no difference between original and final position. So when you say what is the displacement, displacement is 0. Same example, you can say I throw this marker up and catch it. The marker has gone maybe 50 centimeter up and come back 50 centimeter. So the marker has travelled a distance of 100 centimeter. But displacement is 0. Why? Because it has come back to its original position. So please understand the difference between distance and displacement and copy this down in your notebooks. The next video in a week's time I will share, because right now we are more busy with the 10th standard vacation batch. Have a nice time, stay safe, stay indoors and be careful. Bye.